Welcome to the 5th episode of the Fort Worth Portrait Project's video series. Here's a shot of today's storms as they move through town. This is sped up 5 times to normal speed. Yesterday, Leadership Fort Worth held a breakfast university at the Fort Worth Club downtown. This is a continuation of that discussion from yesterday. Here the panelists discussed the return on investment for higher education in North Texas.
So while we're talking a little bit about money, let's talk a little bit about the return on investment on a college education. And you touched on it a little bit, Fred. But in today's world, the average student and their parents struggle to get their child through 4 years, and it rarely is 4 years. It generally ends up being 4.5 to 5 years, and in the case of one of mine, 5.5 years. He's very successful now. That's another story. To those of you who are Aggies, it was a lot of fun at Aggie. But how do you justify, and how do parents, particularly parents, and there's a disproportionate ratio for those at the lower end of the socioeconomic level. How do we work on that, and how do you work on that to help kids solve the issue? It's very hard when children come out of school carrying $75,000 to $100,000 in debt. And on average, it's about $48,000 in debt or more. So, Dr. B, we begin here. We'll just begin in the middle this time.
Absolutely. Student debt and affordability are very, very important issues, and we need to keep our eyes on the ball. There's no doubt about it. We talk about the value of an education, but if a person can't start off, then that value doesn't come through. We have a lot of needs today that were not there 20 years ago. State funding for all the state institutions is down significantly, and that means that there is a balance that is taken by students and their parents. If you put that aside and then you look at what's being done to actually control the cost, beyond the efficiencies that actually exist at the universities, and just a couple of numbers, and I'll talk about some actual things that are also being done. If you compare numbers from 2001 in terms of state allocations per degree, since we should be looking at what is the effect on the sort of economy in terms of the outcomes, the actual allocations per degree at the University of Texas at Arlington is down 42% from 2001 to now. In terms of the total revenue, that means the amount that the state gives us plus what we charge in tuition and what we get from auxiliaries, it is down 8%. And that's without adding in inflation. This is just taking numbers and then looking at the costs. That still doesn't mean it's affordable, but it is much lower today if you look at it in terms of what is being charged per degree. So what we really need to do now is to make sure the students get those degrees. And what we've started to do is have a lot of partnerships with the ISDs and with the community colleges. And I'm really pleased that TCC has been a very strong partner in that. So we've got partnerships, and I'd like to talk about a couple, and I'm sure Joy will talk about them as well, where we're trying to focus on making sure that we have very clear pathways for students who come out from a high school, go to the two-year community college. Keep in mind, 66% of our students at UTA come through a community college. And so that's a very, very critical population for us, and we have to make sure that those students move very smoothly. So we're trying to make sure that we align the curricula, not only to make sure that the students are prepared for the four-year university when they come in, but also to make sure that the number of credits that they take at the community college will transfer seamlessly. So in order to do this, we'll be signing an electronic transfer agreement in the next week. That will make student records actually seamless between the two institutions so that students can be advised and guided on day one that if you want to go forward with a four-year degree in this major, here's what you have to take. And if you take those classes at TCC, they will actually count towards your degree at UTA and you will not lose anything. But we're going one further. So we've also started working very closely with TCC in terms of making sure that our faculty talk to each other. All these things are great when the administration says we're going to do it. The faculty are the ones who really make it happen, and our faculty meet with each other in order to align our curriculum and make sure that these students are well prepared. And we're starting a new program at UTA called UTA Transfer, and that is basically aimed at making sure that all the services we have come together in one spot. So take it one step further now and build in the high schools. And we've started a STEM Academy. It's an academy with Arlington ISD. And we've just signed an agreement for a teacher academy. And I'll talk a little bit about the teacher academy because it again talks about how we can get that pipeline and the costs. So these are students who are interested in entering the teaching profession, which we all know we need very good teachers and we need more of them. And so they start out with the teacher academy. They'll go through the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th in the high school. While they're doing that, they will get dual credit courses for their first 2 years from TCC and UTA. So a student who goes through it has now actually finished 2 years while they're still in high school. We will provide further classes to them while they're still in high school from the education degree that starts at the senior level. So they're being prepared for education. They'll then come to UTA, they'll finish 2 years, they'll do their student teaching at the ISD schools, and then return hopefully to teach at the ISDs. So if you talk about the cost now being reduced, it's significantly less. If you talk about the impact of the community, it's significantly less. So if you look at it, education is still the greatest investment that we can make. But we have to make sure that we have these smooth pathways and pipelines. And there's a lot of work being done, especially between UTA and TCC, to making sure that we not only control costs, but we make it smooth and efficient for our students to work through it.
Joy.
Thank you, Dr. Karbhari. As you can tell, audience, in order to achieve the goals of the state of Texas's new 60 by 30 Texas plan, which states that in order for the state to remain profitable, 60% of our citizens between the ages of 25 and 34 will need to obtain some kind of higher education credential by the year 2030. And in order to achieve that goal, it will require us to develop clearly identifiable pathways from the K through 12 system to the community college, and from the community college to the university. And so you've heard some of what we're doing already to lay the groundwork for that to happen. But at the K through 12 level, it will mean working with the community college and the universities to align academic outcomes. It will also mean aligning competency levels for high school graduates. So when these students graduate from high school, they will be on the same level as students coming in ready to do college level work. At the community college level, it will mean that we'll need to develop an academic planning tool that maps out all of the courses that a student needs to take in order to stay on track and achieve their associate's degree or certification without taking additional courses that they don't need. And we've already begun that work. We've We've established a new academic planning tool that we piloted this year, and our goal is to scale it up this year as well. Working together, the community colleges and the universities, like Dr. Karbhari said, will need to make sure that our transfer process between our institutions is seamless. We also have to work together to make sure that our courses are aligned. The coursework that a student takes at a community college is directly applicable to that student's program of study at the university. Not just accepted, but applicable to their program of study. And we've begun that work. This fall, we established the Tarrant County Articulation and Transfer Council. And this includes representatives from all of our university partners as well. So certainly the work that we're doing there makes an education more affordable. You heard me mention earlier the dual credit programs and the over 5,000 students last year that took advantage of dual credit. Just imagine now the law has changed and students in 9th grade can take advantage of dual credit now. So it is going to reduce the cost of college education. We have early college high schools on all 5 of our physical campuses as well. And these students are getting a unique perspective of the college that they're able to take back into the broader community. And so all of this is helping. But the most important thing we can do is to start with the end in mind. In other words, help students to identify that career goal first. Then once they identify that goal, work backwards to help them to identify the appropriate education for that goal. And where's the best place to get that education?
Fred, I know that Texas Wesleyan has a big population of working students.
We do, in fact, the average age of our undergraduate student is 26. We have a lot of non-traditional students as well as traditional 18 to 22-year-olds who attend. And we also provide significant amounts of financial assistance to a question. And the question that always comes up is a college degree still worth it? If you think about the average debt on graduation from Texas Wesleyan is only $27,000. So that's the price of a Chevy Impala. But you think then about $1 million in added income over the course of your lifetime. That's a pretty good investment toward that lifetime goal. One of the things that we do is we really focus with TCC as well in terms of transfer students. And in terms of the affordability, it's even better if you're a transfer student from TCC. We have what we call the Smaller Smarter Promise Scholarship. If you transfer from TCC with 42 credit hours and a B average or better, and you're fully Pell eligible, you can come to Texas Wesleyan tuition free. Your Pell grant will satisfy the tuition at Texas Wesleyan, and we've seen some phenomenal students come to us from TCC as a result of that scholarship, and it keeps the cost of attendance low for your students.
And Victor and Michael, both of you, Michael, you have senior level advanced kids, and TCU's population is just a little bit different, but you do have a significant number of students who are working their way through, both of you. Would y'all like to address the ROI too?
I usually like Victor go first because I kind of always be the straight guy.
We'll let Victor finish it.
But yeah, no, we do have a unique situation, but in many ways it's also like similar things that have been said. Because we're a state institution, we have a requirement that we take 90% of our students from the state of Texas. So our Texas residents are a high proportion of who we take. Why that's good for Texas is because we put people out on the streets that provide health care and also have the ability to have some earning power. The average cost of an education per year at our campus is actually a pretty high value, I think, for the ROI. It's about, for medical students, about $20,000 per year. And we've really worked hard over the last 3+ years to not elevate tuition at all. We kept it flat. However, our students, at least our medical students, leave with a debt load of about $170,000. But the opportunity there for them is to have some earning capacity to pay that off fairly quickly. To give you another example of how you can impact the economy with these kind of programs, our physician assistant program is one of our most competitive programs. We have a large number of applicants, over 2,000 applicants for 75 slots. But those students leave day one with jobs in excess of $90,000 per year, with really good, nice lifestyle as well. So there are opportunities there for these students to have the ability to make it back. But I agree with everything that's been said. The power of the education and the return on investment is enormous. We also, in addition to what I just said, work hard to continue to partner with not only TCC but also the local school district and in ways, school districts I should say, in ways that bring economically disadvantaged students to our campus and expose them to STEM type careers with research exposure, med school exposures, and multiple other programs. And we actually employ a K through STEM full-time coordinator to try to do outreach and look for program opportunities for these students. But I think, I'm proud to be up here with these leaders because I think we're all working hard to create access for those kind of students.
Victor?
I would agree, of course, with everybody, whatever he has said. And I would say on the one hand, I wouldn't want any kid to take out a $75,000 loan to graduate from any college. But on the other hand, I would say this. I was a poor kid, and my parents would totally agree with this, and I've never met the parents of a poor kid yet who wouldn't agree with this, that it was worth every penny they spent to get their kid through college. And so I think that there's no, of course you're asking the wrong group because we have a vested interest here, but there's no question that it's worth any penny you spend to graduate from college nowadays. It was in 1950, it was in 1970, and still is in 2016. So all this publicity here about all these loans and things like that, yeah, I don't think they should have huge loans. On the other hand, they get a college degree, and you show me the parent of one poor kid whose parents are regretful about that, and I'll change my mind.
And I've heard that repeatedly from parents, that they were very reluctant to mortgage their home or to do things, but once their kids got out and got on their own, they realized how critical it was that they did that and how important it was.
Can I just say one thing here? Yesterday night, there's something you should all go to that I got to go to at Northside High School. It was this incredible thing they do. It's the third year they did it. We did it. I said, but I was just sitting there. But they do a signing ceremony for all their seniors who get academic scholarships, like the athletic kids. They have a table, you come up front, they could take 1 million pictures. Okay, you look in the eyes of those parents, there's no way an H-double-high-6 is not worth every sacrifice they made. It is incredible.
And it's very impressive.